Vishnupada Parhamsakacharya Ashtottara Shata Srimad Abhayacharanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Canto 4, Chapter 24, titled Chanting the Song sung by Lord Shiva, and the text number 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 17. Sangama khalu viprarse Shive neha saririnam Durlabho munayo dadyur Asangadyam abhipsitam Sangama kala viprarse Shive neha saririnam Durlabho munayo dadyur Asangadyam yam abhipsitam Sangama kalu viprarse Shive neha sharirinam Durlabho munayo dadyur Asangadyam abhipsitam. Prabhuji. Sangama kalu viprarse Shive neha saririnam Durlabho munayo dadyur Asangadyam abhipsitam. Sangama kalu viprarse Shive neha sharirinam Durlabho munayo dadyur Asangadyam abhipsitam. Sangama kalu viprarse Shive neha sharirinam Durlabho munayo dadyur Asangadyam abhipsitam. Sangama kalu viprarse Shive neha saririnam Durlabho munayo dadyur Asangadyam abhipsitam. What word meaning? Sangama, association. Kalu, certainly. Viprarse, O best of brāhmaṇas. Shivena, along with Lord Shiva. Iha, in this world. Sarirainam, those who are engaged in material bodies. Dhurlabha, very rare. Munayaha, great sages. Dadhyu, engaged themselves in meditation. asangat, being detached from anything, anything else, yam, unto whom, abhipsitam, desiring. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation, please repeat with me. The great sage Vidura continued, O best of the brāhmaṇas, it is very difficult for living entities engaged within this material body to have a personal contact with Lord Shiva. Even great sages who have no material attachments do not contact him, despite their always being absorbed in meditation to attain his personal contact. Purport. Since Lord Shiva does not incarnate himself unless there is some special reason, it is very difficult for an ordinary person to contact him. However, Lord Shiva does not descend on a special occasion, descend on a special occasion when he is ordered by Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this regard, it is stated in Padma Purana that Lord Shiva appeared as a Brahmana in the age of Kali to preach Mayavada philosophy, which is nothing but a type of Buddhist philosophy. It is stated in Padma Purana, Mayavadam Satchastram Prachannam Buddham Uchate Maya eva vihitam devi kalau brahmana murtina. Lord Shiva, speaking to Parvati Devi, foretold that he would spread the Mayavada philosophy in the guise of a sannyasi brahmana just to eradicate Buddhist philosophy. The sannyasi was Sripada Shankaracharya. In order to overcome the effects of Buddhist philosophy and spread Vedanta philosophy, Sripada Shankaracharya had to make some compromise with the Buddhist philosophy, and as such he preached the philosophy of monism, for it was required at that time. Otherwise, there was no need for his preaching Mayavada philosophy. At the present moment, there is no need for Mayavada philosophy or Buddhist philosophy, and Lord Chaitanya rejected both of them. This Krishna conscious movement is spreading the philosophy of the Lord Chaitanya and rejecting philosophy of both classes of Mayavadi. Strictly speaking, both Buddhist philosophy and Sankara's philosophy are but different types of Mayavada dealing on the platform of material existence. Neither of these philosophies has spiritual significance. There is spiritual significance only after one accepts the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, which culminates in surrendering unto Supreme Personality of Godhead. Certainly, people worship Lord Shiva for some material benefit, and although they cannot see him personally, they derive great material profit by worshipping him. Let's do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sriyuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are continuing this, the next chapter of, after Prithu. We completed Prithu Maharaj pastimes at the concluding, as part of the conclusive session of the Prithu Maharaj went back to Godhead. Now in this chapter, we are going to his descendants. So we know that in the first few verses of this chapter it was mentioned Vijitashva, who is the son of Prithu Maharaj, who defeated Indra when his father was doing Ashwamedha Yajna, and he was named as Antardana. And Antardana, he had a wife, Antardana, and he has a son named Havirdana. Havirdana is the son of Antardana, and his wife was Havirdani. And they had 6 sons named Barishat, Gaya, Shukla, Krishna, Satya, and Jitavrata. And the first one is Barishat, is also named Prachinubari. He married to Shatadruti. And they got 10 sons. They are Prachetas. So this is the lineage of Prithu Maharaj and the descendants of. So Antardana to Havirdana to Prachinabari's sons are Prachetas. And what Prachinabari instructed Prachetas to go to the forest and do austerity tapasya before creating the progeny. So based on his instructions, they were going to the forest for that perform austerities. And this narration was this pastime was narrated by Maitreya to Vidura. And when Maitreya was telling Vidura that, so when the Prachetas were going to perform austerity, then they get a chance to meet Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva instructed them, and then they continued their devotion to Lord. Then Vidura was very inquisitive. Okay, can you please elaborate on this pastime? What was the how the Shiva, Lord Shiva, how the Prachetas got opportunity to meet Lord Shiva? What kind of instructions Lord Shiva gave to them? So then he was very inquisitive. This is where the Bhagavad Gita verse tells the 10.9 Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Katayantischa Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. When the two devotees meet, they always talk, they are very inquisitive to discuss about Krishna, their pastime. So we can see same thing. When Maitreya just briefly touched on Prachetas met Lord Shiva, and Vidura was very inquisitive, and he was very keen to know what was the reason behind meeting Prachetas with Lord Shiva, and what was how the Lord Shiva, what kind of instructions Lord. So he was requesting Vidura to Maitreya. Vidura is requesting Maitreya to elaborate on this. So, and then Maitreya was giving in this today's verse, he was mentioning the same thing. What he was mentioning, the great sage Vidura continued. That is, in response to Vidura's inquiry, Maitreya started continuing. The great sage Vidura continued, O best of brāhmaṇas, it's very difficult to living entities engaged within this material body to have personal contact with Lord Shiva. Even great sages who have no material attachments do not contact him, despite their always being absorbed in meditation to attain his personal contact. So Vidura was saying, so it is very difficult to get the contact of Lord Shiva in this material world. Even within the great sages also, I find very difficult to get the contact of Lord Shiva. So even though they are trying to absorb and meditate on the personal to get the personal association of Lord Shiva, it is very difficult. So in this verse, it was Prabhupada in the purport, he was explaining why it is very difficult. Prabhupada was describing briefly on why it is very difficult to attain a Lord Shiva's personal contact, personal darshan. But before that, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see different names. Shiva on multiple chapters, multiple cantos. It was touched on multiple aspects of Shiva. So we have Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva and Shiva Tattva. Shiva Tattva is more of the difficult part to understand, because Vishnu Tattva, we know from the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, Atincha Beda Beda, right? Though qualities wise we are similar to Krishna, but in quantity wise nowhere in the list. And Jiva Tattva is like a Jiva is a marginal potency. He has a tendency to go towards either internal potency or external potency. Based on his free will, he can go towards anywhere. So that is Jiva Tattva. When it comes to Shiva Tattva, we know that Shiva is Vaishnavanam Yatashambho. He is a great devotee of Shiva, Vishnu. And other side, he perform actions like annihilation of he is in a mode of ignorance. The activities which he performs are mode of ignorance. He is not in the mode of ignorance. His activities are type of more ignorant nature. So there are various things how we can understand. We will briefly touch upon this Shiva Tattva, and we will discuss the Prabhupada purport. If you see the Shiva, when we talk about Shiva, there are three different names we hear in terms of when we talk about Shiva. First one is Sadashiva. Where is Sadashiva? He is actually incarnation of Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Like Krishna expanded into Chaturvyuhas, first Chaturvyas to second Chaturvyas, from second Chaturvyas Sankarshan to then Mahavishnu, then from Sankarshan, the same Sankarshan, Lord Sadashiva is coming. And he lives in a separate planet, which is Maheshdam or Sadashiva Loka. So it is a spiritual planet. Where it is residing exactly below the Vaikuntha planets. But it is and then it is not a material world, and it is above the material world. So it is like a gateway to the spiritual planet. So the spiritual world, it is through Sadashiva Dham, it starts from Sadashiva Loka, and from there Vaikuntha planet, then Goloka. This is how the Bhagavatam and many acharyas explain. And it is mainly outside of the material nature. And Srila Rupa Goswami was mentioning, Shiva's abode is manifest in the northeast part of the Vaikuntha Loka. Sadashiva Loka is attained by the best of the Lord Shiva, Sadashiva's devotees, who know that Shiva is non-different from Krishna and not by others. So those who think that Shiva is non-different from Krishna and worship in that mood, they will get a chance to go back to the Sadashiva Loka and Maheshdam. You see, it is spiritual planet, it is eternal. That's what. So this is Sadashiva. And the next one we hear when in the Sankhya philosophy of Kardama Muni was explaining, and in the second canto also it was mentioned, when Mahavishnu is glancing the material world to create all the ingredients of material world, then to impregnate jivas into the material world. The material world pradhana is there. It is not having any consciousness. Right? By the glance of Mahavishnu, all the jivas living entities were impregnated into the pradhan. Right? When in that case, Mahavishnu glance, he is not directly contacting the material pradhana. Right? So he is above the material modes, he is not touching. But how the touch to the pradhana is happening? Through the form of Shambhu. So the personification of Mahavishnu glance is Shambhu. That is how then he unites with Maya, and all the living entities were impregnated. This is the Shambhu. So we heard about Sadashiva. Sadashiva is purely eternal. He is expansion of Mahavishnu. And here next comes to the Shambhu, who is again coming from Mahavishnu glance. And this is where Srila Prabhupada explained in Brahma Samhita. Right? Example, milk and curd. Krishna is a milk, Shiva is a curd transformed into curd, right? So again, curd cannot bring it back to the milk, right? So that's the analogy Prabhupada explaining. Same this, it is explained to Shambhu, where he is a personification of the glance of the Krishna, Supreme Mahavishnu. So that is Shambhu. And the next third one we hear about Rudra. When Brahma was creating the doing the secondary manifestation, where he created 4 Kumaras, and 4 Kumaras were not willing to create progeny. They wanted to follow the path of bhakti. They don't want to get into the Grihastha ashram. So then Brahma was very angry, And in the passionate in its tamoguna, from the between the eyebrows, the Shiva generated. That is the Rudra. So these are the various aspects of Shiva, Sadashiva, Shambhu and Rudra, the Shiva coming from eyebrows of Brahma. So this Shiva, this Rudra is coming from source of Shiva, Sadashiva, who is in the spiritual planet. And the source of Shambhu is Mahavishnu directly. So by glance. So this is the subtle differences between the different roles of different name and different Shivas forms, like we can say. So the Sadashiv, the Rudra is coming from Sadashiv, that is one thing. And this same Shiva is the Rudra is the Shiva is in the Kailash, in this material. The Kailash Dham is in this material world. So we heard in the Daksha pastime where Daksha cursed the Shiva. Daksha cursed Shiva, and after that the fight happened. When all the demigods were going to pacify Shiva, they were going to the Kailash, this hills only, right? So much description was given in the Bhagavatam, in the 4th canto, right? This is the same. This is in this material world. This is the Shiva, the Rudra is staying in this Kailash. So this is how we can understand how. Now this in the Rudra Gita, the Shiva is the same Shiva, like who is in the Kailash Dham, who came from the eyebrows of Brahma, right? So that's how we can understand the context. Now, next thing is why it is difficult to get the contact of Lord Shiva. That is we try to discuss. But before that, when we see from our scriptures, Ravana was there. He was able to get the darshan of Shiva. The many other demons like Tripurasura, Bhasmasura, everybody got association of Lord Shiva. Then how come this purport was saying, it is very, in this translation in the purport, Prabhupada was mentioning why it is difficult to get Lord darshan of Lord Shiva. But one minute, we need to understand the subtle difference here. See, Shiva is like the demigod. It's a demigod. His job is to perform annihilation. That is his job in this material world, prescribed by his master, Krishna. Right? That is his job. But internally, on his own personal side, he is a devotee, like Vaishnavanam Metashambhavi. Right? So he always try to meditate on Lord, Supreme Lord. So that is his personal nature. And when he is trying to do the demons who are approaching him, not treating him as a devotee, but they are treating him as a powerful demigod to fulfill their desires, like the Ravana and many other demons. Right? So, but what is Shiva's mood, Shiva's nature? He was always absorbed in meditating on Supreme Lord. And these demons will come and try to disturb him, to give their material, to fulfill their desires. Like, suppose you are in the house, some beggar is knocking. Of course, it will not happen here, but in other places we can see such examples, where someone is beggar trying to knock the door to get something. He will say, it's okay. First you think that, okay, he will knock for some time and he will leave. But if he is not leaving, he is constantly knocking, disturbing, then what we will do? Okay, you will open the door. Whatever, okay, you will see what is his requirement, whatever he wanted, so you will send him and close the door. Right? Then you will be occupied with your same thing Lord Shiva is doing. Like example, if you take Ravana was trying to please get some material immortality. Then he was pleasing and so many powers. He's pleased trying to perform different austerities and pacify Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was not initially, he did not respond. And then after that he started chopping his body, organs and limbs, and finally head. He was chopping one by one all the 10 heads. And before cutting the 10th head, then Shiva thought, okay, he's not going to leave, I have to go. Then Shiva appeared in front of him. Then Ravana got all the benedictions from Shiva. So the dealings between the Shiva and these demons is not on the devotional platform. The dealings are on the material platform. So Shiva is not the demons are not having any love or affection towards Shiva. It's purely transactional. They want certain things. Shiva is Ashutosh. He is pleased easily. He will give all benedictions. So they were trying to get the benedictions from Shiva just to then please Shiva and get the benefits. So this is how we can understand that these demons and all, though they are getting the contract, it is not the on the platform of devotion, on the platform of bhakti. It is purely on the material platform. So this is not considered as a getting association of Lord Shiva, right? This is completely material transactions. And another aspect why it is difficult to get the darshan of association of Lord Shiva. We go back to the Canto 4th, Daksha's pastime. Right, in the Daksha, we studied few months back about this Daksha pastime very in detail, where Daksha was planning to, is conducting some yajna, all the demigods, Brahma, Shiva, everywhere present, and when the Daksha entered into the sacrificial arena, Lord Shiva and Brahma were, Lord Shiva was absorbed in the meditation, he didn't take notice and he didn't stand up. And then Daksha was he felt that okay, Shiva was disrespecting me, and then he made so many comments, and finally Lord Daksha gave a curse. What kind of curse? They gave the demigods are eligible to share the oblations of sacrifice, but Lord Shiva, who is in the lowest of all demigods, should not have this share. So this is the curse the Daksha gave to Lord Shiva. Then there the Daksha, Shiva's associates were there in that arena, and the Nandishwara, and they heard this and they realized that okay, Daksha cursed Lord Shiva. Then this Nandishwara cursed the Daksha. Anyone who has accepted Daksha as the most important personality and neglected Lord Shiva because of envy is less intelligent, and because of visualizing in duality will be bereft of transcendental knowledge. They will be those who are staying close to Daksha and who are disrespecting Shiva, they will not be having any transcendental knowledge. Then the Bhrigu Muni and other followers were there in the sacrificial arena, and they understood that okay, this Nandishwara is cursing brāhmaṇas and everyone. So then the Bhrigu Muni cursed them. In this curse, what they mentioned, generally Lord Shiva drank all the poison and everything, right? Some people will try to follow these things, like they try to imitate like the intoxication thing, like the ganja and many other things, right? So some people try to follow such things, and then the purport it was mentioned. Here the curse is that if someone follows such principles, means such principles like taking the intoxication like Lord Shiva, he must become and turn against the principles of Vedic regulation. And it means they will be away from the opposite. They don't accept the Vedas, they will be turning away from Vedas. Those who vow to worship Lord Shiva are so foolish that they may imitate by keeping long hair on their heads. When initiated into worship of Lord Shiva, prefer to live on wine and flesh and other such things. So those who are trying to imitate Lord Shiva and they take on intoxication and all other things, they will be moving away from the transcendent, all the Vedic, the Shastras, Shastric knowledge. And few more other purports it was mentioned in the verse. The Vedas give directions by which to elevate oneself in the next life. The Vedas are mother for such instructions, and Brahmanas are persons who are knowledge of the Vedas, or father. So like the Prabhupada was giving that formula, this is the conversation curse Bhrigu Muni is giving. In that curse, what he is anticipating, expecting is Vedas are like a mothers who have the knowledge, and Brahmanas are like father. So thus, if one blasphemes Vedas and Brahmanas, naturally one goes down to the status of atheism. So the exact word used in Sanskrit is Nastika, which refers that one who does not believe in Vedas but manufactures some concocted system of religion. So by blaspheming the principle of Vedas, which are pure and supreme path of the saintly persons, certainly you followers of Bhutapati Lord Shiva will descend to the standard of atheism without a doubt. So this was the curse given by Bhrigu Muni to Lord Shiva. So this is another reason why they will not become pure devotees. They will be trying to worship Lord Shiva, but finally they will end up in following the atheism. This is where the Mayavada philosophy, all these things, right? That's what happening. So these are the certain reasons we can understand why it is very difficult to get Lord Shiva's association. So, and one other purport Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Lord Shiva appeared, the incarnations of Lord Shiva. When we see Sadashiva, like Advaitacharya is one incarnation. He is incarnation of both Sadashiva and Mahavishnu. That is one incarnation. But when he came down here, he was preaching spreading the whole glories of the holy name, Advaita Acharya. But whereas in another incarnation, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was mentioning, and this Lord Shiva narrated this in the Padma Purana to Mother Parvati, right? The verse is Maya Vadam Ascha Shastram Prachannam Bodham Uchate Mayaiva Vihitam Devi Kalau Brahmana Murtina. So, the Lord Shiva speaking to Parvati Devi foretold that he would spread the Mayavada philosophy as a sannyasi Brahmana just to eradicate Buddhist philosophy. The sannyasi was none other than Srila Prabhupada Shankaracharya. So, Shankaracharya, he was born is the incarnation of Shiva, who appeared in a South Indian Brahmana family. His birthplace was Kaladi in Kerala. So he was born in the 8th century. And at the young age, he received sannyasa diksha. And initially when he was trying to take sannyasa, his mother was opposing it because he is very young. By the time he was fully learned all the knowledge, shastras and everything, he was very much familiar with the shastric knowledge. And then he was very keen to get into the sannyasa diksha, the Shankaracharya, who is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. But his mother was opposing because he was very young. She was not giving permission to accept the sannyasa order. Then what happened one day, he was in the lake or the river, and crocodile was holding his leg, his body. And then he was crying, shouting. Then his mother was also trying, he was very anxious to save him. Then during that time, this Shankaracharya told, Mother, you give me the permission to take me as a sannyasa. At least I die as a sannyasa. Then mother thought, okay, this is his last wish. So she granted the permission. Then crocodile left the leg. So that way he got the permission from his mother to become sannyasa. And then he became sannyasa. And then he translated many scriptures like Vedanta Sutra. He gave a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and he also gave commentary for all the Upanishads. And then he also gave the first commentary, he also gave the commentary on Bhagavad Gita. So, but all these commentaries are in the language of Mayavada philosophy, not in the Bhakti philosophy, right? So, it's all Mayavada philosophy. Then he also gave the Gita Mahatmyam, Adi Shankaracharya. That's where, even though it is he was a Mayavada philosophy, he came into commentary in Mayavada language, but Gita Mahatmyam is very prominent in Vaishnava Sampradaya. That's why Srila Prabhupada used some of the slokas from Gita Mahatmya in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. So, though he is performing the Mayavada, preaching Mayavada, but Gita Mahatmya was very prominent in Vaishnava, and we also refer some verses in Bhagavad. But then why? So this is where when understanding a Shiva Tattva is difficult, because he is a devotee of Krishna and Supreme Lord, and he came as incarnation of Shankaracharya, and he started preaching Mayavada philosophy. Why this is where people will think that a devotee, why? That's where the Shiva Tattva, understanding Shiva Tattva is sometimes it is difficult, unless we thoroughly go through all aspects. By seeing one aspect in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we cannot make any conclusion about Shiva. So we have to see an overall picture to make a clear conclusion about the Shiva Tattva. So why Lord Shiva started preaching Mayavada philosophy? To understand this, in the beginning of the Kali Yuga, almost 2000 years back, something whatever, it was the more prominent was like all the brāhmaṇas and everybody was misusing the Vedas. And they are, on the name of Vedas, they are doing all the ahimsa, killing the animals, eating. Though the Shastras saying that don't eat the meat and all, but they use some verses, some commentaries to, on their own convenient way, and to kill the animals and then eat the non-animalistic food. So this became very prominent, and then Buddhism started. Buddhism main thing is, no God is no God, no, we reject all the Vedas. And their thing is, since there is no God, our existence is also false. Ultimately we have to merge in the shunya, void. And they think that if there is no specific like a soul or individual, and they don't agree on the individual entity part. Like there is no, like we say soul is independent like entity, right? They don't behave anything existing in this material as an independent entity. They say everything is connected to other thing. Like you have a chariot. Chariot is a name, but if you see chariot, it will have different parts. Like in the mirage we see on the road, but actually it doesn't exist. Similarly, if the rainbow is there, rainbow is not actually physical substance. It is a combination of certain actions. Right? So they will say that everything is like, this is where the Shunyavad. Nothing is physically existing, everything is false. God is false, and all our existence is also false. That's how they preach. So at that time, all this Buddhism was very prominent in India. Not only in India, all South Asia, Southeast Asia, like China, Myanmar, Indonesia, Malaysia. In all these, like all South Asia, Southeast Asia, this became very prominent. Their duty is, they give all the arguments through logic. Or logical arguments they try to prove. So they are denying all Vedas. They are saying that no God exists, God is existing, our existence itself is false. So like that they have some 9 principles. They try to go along with that and they preach. So everywhere in India, it was Buddhism was predominantly occupied. All the temples everywhere. So it's became very completely, the Vedas were abolished, everything. So this is the first thing, then Supreme Lord Krishna thought, first thing is we have to bring the Vedas back and remove the Buddhist philosophy. That is a primary task for Lord Shiva. Krishna doesn't want, at one instance he doesn't want to establish bhakti. It should be, he wanted to establish an organic way, where step by step he will. So if you have a board, something was written. To write that board on something new, you have to erase the old one and write new one, right? The same logic we can understand. So, Supreme Lord wanted to eradicate that complete Buddhist philosophy. And then he wanted to establish the Vedas first. So that's where he instructed Lord Shiva to come and incarnate and perform. So, as per instructions of Supreme Lord, he made the Vedanta Sutra commentary and Vedantas and all the Upanishads. So he is reinitiating reinstantiating all the Vedas, Vedic knowledge in the system. So in that way he propagated monism, the oneness. Like everything is one, Brahma finally. We need to become Brahman, God. So we are actually in the ignorant stage, we forgot we are God. Our ultimate aim is to realize that we are God and merge it in the Brahman. So that's how their philosophy. So this is how they started preaching and all that. So this Mayavada philosophy became very prominent. Complete Buddhist system was eradicated in India. That's why we don't find many presence of Buddhists. But some of the people who are very strong followers of Buddhist, they left, they followed. They went to other countries like Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka still some Buddhism, and many other countries still Buddhism is still present, right? So they all went to different, like Indonesia, Malaysia, and many other Southeast Asian. Still people, they went from India to other parts. That is where the Buddhism was there in other parts. But in India, it's almost very minimal presence, we can see. We don't see much presence of Buddhism. So that's how the impact of Mayavada philosophy. So as per the instructions of Lord, he very much, Lord Shankara, in the form of Shankaracharya, he completely eradicated and fulfilled the Lord's desire. That's how we can see the Shiva Tattva when you are trying to, why he propagated this philosophy. And we see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita some past times how these Buddhist philosophers encountered with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Madhya Lila, I think, there was one narration when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling all over South India Yatra. He was doing the South India tour. And then they encountered with Brahma Buddhist monastery. That by the time, most of the when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 500 years back, right? 500 years, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. By the time Buddhism was completely eradicated, but there are few monasteries there, here and there. So in the South India, he saw one, and there was one Buddhist ashram was there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had an argument. Initially, he doesn't want to argue with Buddhist and Mayavada philosophers, because our Shastra said, if you see the Mayavadas or such Buddhism, both are on the same platform, Mayavadi kind of thing. So all our spiritual knowledge, advantages, benefits we got, it will be removed. by seeing the Mayavadis. So that's how our acharyas. So he doesn't want to interact with the Mayava, the Buddhist, but somehow to prove that they are wrong, he's a Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Finally he agreed. He argued with them, he defeated Buddhist priest, the head of the Buddhist, that monastery system. So then they were very upset. Then when they thought, okay, they made a plan, they behaved as if they surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they agreeing the defeat, but in a gold plate, they got all the meat and they covered such that nobody can see that it is a meat. So they got in a gold plate, they were offering to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he knows he is a Lord, he knows that what their intention. Suddenly, at the same time, one eagle came and he took the plate, that eagle, and all the non-veg fell on these Buddhist monks. And finally, the gold plate fell on the head of the Buddhist priest. Then he fell unconscious. The Buddhist monks, their followers came and they started praying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please save my Guru, he was unconscious. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I can't do anything. Since he is offending Krishna, you have to chant holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna. So then he chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So then the Buddhist monks, they chanted this, and then the Guru got alive. Then, so this is how we can see the Mayavadas were defeated, and when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also defeated all the Mayavada philosophers. We see in Varanasi how Mahaprabhu defeated all the Mayavadis and they became all the devotees. So in the current age, we don't need to rely on this Buddhist philosophy or Mayavada philosophy, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them all required things. Simply we need to follow these things. So, and even, this is the key points which I would like to conclude from this verse. The main thing is why it is difficult to get Lord Shiva's association. We understood that curse of Bhrigu Muni was there, and those who are taking the benediction from Lord Shiva, they are not in the devotee platform. So we cannot consider that as they are getting the association, why devotees are not. That is not correct. And then why Lord Shankara appeared, and where he took birth, and how he became a sannyasi in the past time, and he made also many commentaries on Vedantas. So he reinstantiated all the Vedic literature, but he's a Mayavada philosopher. And then why he preached Mayavada philosophy, though he is a devotee of Krishna, he is topmost Vaishnava, but why he propagated Mayavada philosophy, that we understood. And finally, we saw how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated Buddhist philosophy as well. Right? So I will conclude here. Any comments, any questions? Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. So Prachetas, because I read one commentary about the Rupa Goswami, right? Those people devote, it is difficult to understand Shiva's tattva, right? So mainly, Shiva is a devotee of Krishna. In that mood, if you approach, it is possible. So by the mercy of the devotees, Prachetas got such darshan, but they are treating him as a topmost Vaishnava. In that context, it is. So that is how, with the help of some arrangements, he was there, but it is not possible for everyone. So those who get into that mood and understand that he is a Krishna, the devotee of Krishna, and with that mood, and we pray him to give the bhakti to Krishna. In that mood, you can approach it. But in otherwise, normal, if you see that Shiva is a controller, if you see Shiva as he is a creator, in that mood, if you go, it's very difficult to approach. Right? That's a difference, subtle difference. If you think that he is the controller of this world, and he is doing the annihilation, that part is there, but again, it is under the guidance of Supreme Lord, right? So in that angle, if you go, it is understand that overall picture, it will be easy. But if you think that Shiva is the only controller, he is a proprietor, whatever logic you are applying on the Supreme Lord, if you apply on Shiva and trying to go there, it's very difficult. That's how we can understand. Yes, See, okay, so when the the Balrama took Varuni and all, see, it's all, they are the Supreme, the Balram is none other than again, is incarnation of Supreme Lord. So, they are doing the Leelas and it's not like, the whatever they are referring, it is not the current way material people are using it. It's not in the same level. It is a, they are on the transcendental platform, they are in the different mode. As per my knowledge, I am saying just, but it's they are on the transcendental platform, they are doing the Leelas. But we are not at that level, first thing. We are not on the platform of Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, the Balram, right? So, and we are using that intoxication to please our senses. They are performing the Leelas. If they are taking the, whatever the, like Shiva took the intoxication, poison, right? So, by seeing that, people will try to do all the other things. But can they do like, they take this like Shiva, can they accept the poison and survive? Right? So, if you have to follow in a, that's the reason, they are on the different level. They are performing the various activities. But we are not at that level. We are trying to consume for our sense pleasure. So, that's the difference we can. Yes. Yes. See, this is also I heard in some lectures in the Padma Purana. This verse which Prabhupada mentioned is there in the Padma Purana. But what I heard, these Mayavada philosophers, they completely removed the references from the Padma Purana. But the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they somehow noted down this. So that's why they are referring in. So, but they try to destroy these references in the Padma Purana so that nobody can see these things. That's why. No, Prabhu, I don't have. Because I refer to this Prabhupada purport in the verse, but I heard in one lecture that this verse, these things actually in the actual version, all the Mayavadi philosophers, Mayavadi followers, they removed these references. So that's why in outside world you won't find this reference. The verse which mentioned in the purport, right? That you own. Only the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followers, they captured and stored. So that way we got it into our references in our Bhagavatam. Yeah. Yeah. So they were, see, it is Shiva's compassionate nature. We hear from the Daksha's pastime, right? It's not their greatness, the Bhuta's greatness. It is merciful nature of Lord Shiva. Because they don't get such opportunity to progress in the bhakti. So Shiva is coming them there to bring them up to the platform of transcendence, right? So bhakti. So it's a merciful nature of Shiva, but not the greatness of these Bhutas. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Because other Vaishnavas, they don't go to these bhutas and ghosts, right? So he is that's what his compassionate nature. We can, is exhibiting that nature and bringing all the ghosts and bhutas to come into the platform of bhakti. So helping them at least. So that's his nature. Yeah, it's similar to that analogy, where in the Western world, there was no access to the bhakti path, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, holy name. But by Prabhupada's mercy, he traveled America, he struggled so many things, and finally, we are sitting in Sydney and reading Bhagavatam. We never anticipated that. It would have not been possible if Prabhupada was not there. Right? Yeah. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.